We're back. It's 2026. I'm feeling good. I'm in a new little studio space, new microphone, testing it out. Tara's got a new setup. We're all rocking and rolling. And I don't know if I want to apologize for our lack of recording and posting, but I think it's actually good to show our audience that it's okay to take a break. All right?
I love the mic. And yes.
I need to get a stand for it.
I was like, he's serious. He's holding it.
This is how I sing with it, so it's fine.
You're just used to it. Well, that's a whole other question right there. It's okay to take a break. Yeah. And I think there's a conversation to be had about purposeful breaks versus unintentional breaks. I don't think we really wanted the break. It's just how the cookie crumbled.
Exactly, it happened, yeah. And that's okay. Life's, right? We always say that.
But you know what's cool about it? Because you and I are so committed to this, and because we know what our intentions are, it didn't feel like, shoot, we're missing and this is going to fizzle out. Like, I believe, I'm speaking for you, but we both full knew we were just missing a couple of not even episodes, but like it wasn't stopping. It was just...
Yeah. And again, not to speak for you, but I certainly kind of come back with more vigor and more motivation is not the right word because we were always motivated, but just I want to make it bigger and better this year.
Yeah. More intentional.
See where we can go with it.
Yes. Speaking of, we already have some good guests kind of in the wings that you and I have to review some of our questionnaires for. And that said, reminding our audience, like, we talk about such a wide range of topics. I honestly think every single person that's listening to this right now has something to contribute to this world. And I will encourage you, if you've never been on a podcast, if you've been on a million podcasts, whatever it might be, go ahead and reach out to us and get our guest questionnaire form. I guarantee you there is a topic that we can speak on that you know more than we do about that the world needs to hear. So 50 episodes, 2025. I love hearing us talk and our banter back and forth, but I really think some of our most powerful episodes are with our guests.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the numbers speak to that too. So
yeah,
it's a good observation.
People are tired of just you and me.
Right. So, I'd ask you how you've been, what's been going on. I'm not sure we have enough time to dive into that for you. How much do you want to share?
I'm thinking it will probably come out over time. And it's so funny because even in my contract, I'm not allowed to say that I worked for this certain company. But yes, there's been big changes. And
just go back and listen to the prior episodes because you said it at the time. There's no breaking the law there.
I think I'll chalk it up to this, right? Last year of the snake in Chinese zodiac, a shedding, right? A growth period. This year of the horse. I made a big move again. And there was something about it that felt like doing it before the first. I wanted to come into 2026 in full integrity with myself and in alignment. And I actually had to be, because in order for me to have this renewed vigor, you said vigor, like renewed energy, renewed sense of purpose, I really realized, like, I feel like I've been prematurely aging over the past 3 months. Once I find myself in an environment that's not psychologically safe, I know that I'm not in alignment with leadership, like, it sucks everything out of me to function on a daily basis. Or when I'm out of alignment with myself, with integrity, I'm doing something like, I'm committed to this, so I'm in integrity by continuing it, but I no longer believe in what it is like I did before. So I'm out of integrity. So it just sucks the life out of me. So I am working way harder, but I am so much more energized and focused And I'm really grateful for everything that's brought me here. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think as you said, it will kind of drip out as time goes by. But I'm really excited for you. I'm really happy for you because it just feels like, and I said it before actually when you started the last gig. It just feels like everything leading up to this has been deliberate and meant to be. But I would say the same now too. It
yeah,
was a short part of the story, but potentially a big part of the story because it really
yes,
provided you clarity. And I think that would be great for the audience to take away is, it doesn't matter because I know people who stick with things because I don't. Oh, you get the whole story of the resume thing of, oh, well, it looks like I'm hopping around. It just means you didn't have the right environment. And
yeah,
I think I actually had the shortest stint at a gig of 2 months
yeah.
last year. Did I beat you?
You beat me. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, and I mean, that was actually because something, more aligned and more, kind of in tune with what I needed at the time came along.
yeah,
But still, it's, and I did a lot of reflecting around the new year, because I think that's what a really good time to do, and because everything's kind of slowed down a little bit, so you get that chance to breathe and just have some time to think. And I was thinking back to how much shit happened last year, both professionally and personally.
yeah.
And, I realized I spent I remember thinking back to where I was a year ago, in a job that was really stressful for many reasons. Not the job itself, but the circumstances around it. And I remember thinking I was stuck in that thing for 6 months.
Mm,
I can't help but think like how bad that must have been for my health, the amount of stress I was under. And I think I've told the story before of when I did my stress and hormone panel, which is a saliva-based test. You take it 4 times throughout the day at different intervals. And my afternoon, around 3 o'clock peaked. Well, not peaked, it didn't go above the morning, but it shot way above where it should have been. And realized, oh, it's because we had a weekly meeting that always happened at that time, and
mm,
I hated that meeting.
yeah,
And that was my body responding to it and living that for 6 months. So everything happens for a reason, and I'm grateful for the lessons I learned there, the opportunities I had there. Coming into 26 with no regrets, no ill will or bad feelings towards anybody or any situation. But yeah, I really hope people listening to us get to see in real time two people still trying to figure it the fuck out,
yeah,
but at the same time, absolutely thriving. I
yeah.
just,
I like, for me, it's so funny figuring it out. Like, that's never been my, I don't have an end goal if it's all figured out. I just don't even think that that's actually a reality, or that might seem boring to me. Am a bit of a chaos creator, but I've, I have a lot of grounding in that chaos as well. So for me, chaos is just energy. Uncontrolled chaos is different. But what might appear chaotic from the outside to me is very controlled. To me, it's like, where do I need to harness this chaos? Because that becomes my energy. Also, the chaos actually creates this opposite effect of slowing down and really looking of like, okay, am I caught up in something right now? Where do I need to step back and really look at where I need to be uber focused? And like, that's where I have my 3 pillars of where my time, where my money's coming from to fund the life that I want to live, and where my time is going to. So, where is my money coming from? And that's where my time is going to. And then the money that's coming, what am I using it to fund in my life? Am I being purposeful about those things?
yeah,
And sometimes we need reminder of what the non-negotiables are. So
yeah, it's true.
I got
Yeah, I
some
mean,
reminders.
it's funny, if you look at time to dollar,
Hmm.
my health practice is by far the best ratio there, by far. It's not even close.
Hmm.
But the amount of time and energy it requires to build that up to a point where it could replace my
Hmm.
income, I'm not at a point in my life where I can trade that in.
Yeah.
And I genuinely love what I do on a day to day basis, and it's funny hearing you say that about where your time goes is where the money is. But there's so many variables, and I think that's one lesson I'm bringing into this year is despite the fact that I spend an insane amount of time listening to self-development stuff and always trying to learn and grow, really filtering out the stuff that I'm listening to and uh, how I apply it and try and use it in my life. Because what I've realized is there's just and I've realized the irony of saying that on a podcast. It's designed to help other people with self-development, but I also want people to use us as a resource in that respect, that we are essentially a filter of, you and I spend 10, 20, 30 hours a week listening and reading around all of this stuff. So we have a good kind of sense of what's really practical for people.
Mm.
But that's really something I'm bringing into this this year of, you know, don't that sounds good, but it doesn't have to really be something I work on right now. Like I
Mhm.
think scaling down and being simpler is really the key there. And that thought came just from the fact that it's okay to have multiple perspectives on everything. Just figure out what works for you.
Yes.
Don't follow the herd.
Yes. Yes, yes, and yes. I want to talk a little bit about what you and I are committed to. And I've actually gone really short term. I think you saw it on social media. What am I committed to in January? Now I have some longer term things, but I wanted to be really, because I'm really great at being like, I'm going to do this year and this year and this year. And we tend to uh, we tend to think we're going to be able to achieve a lot more than we can in a year. We overestimate what we're able to do in 12 months. We underestimate what we're able to do in 2 or 3 years. And you said something about 2025 that Ben said to me yesterday. He said, a lot of great things happened. A lot of not great things happened too, but I feel like 25 was like a blur. Like it went so fast. Um, and when you and I are talking, I'm like, my God, like a lot happened. Like a lot happened. So for me, I wanted to kind of truncate down what my brain was focused on. And for me, that was the next month. I'm going to turn 49 at the end of the month. I have been
This is a
talking.
great time for me where I get to say you're exactly 10 years older than me.
I know, trust me, I think about it often. I remember the days when I was always the youngest person in the room, and now I am in the days where I am often the oldest person or one of the oldest people.
One of
Um,
the wisest, we'll
one of the
say.
wisest, one of the most experienced. Age is definitely a number. And yeah, I really do. I don't want to say it again, but I'm saying it again. I was looking at myself in the mirror and I found this, and this is to our audience. If you are looking at yourself and physically seeing yourself not look the way that you normally look, um, obviously internally, if you're feeling tired and drained and all of those things, those are all signs. This is why environment is so important. Your body is, when it's showing on the outside, you know that there's some real shit happening on the inside. And I think we push that down so much, and we're so used to people just looking exhausted. We're so used to people just aging from stress. And we kind of just power through it. And I want to say, like, don't power through that. If you know that this is not you, like, you have a responsibility to yourself, to your family, to the people around you, to the current environment you're in. If you're in an environment, let's call it a work environment, and they're expecting you to show up at a certain level in a certain way, and you realize that this is just not the environment for you, you're actually doing a disservice to them by keeping yourself in that environment. So chances are you've probably gotten away from the things that make you feel great. And for me, that was a million percent it. Yeah, that was my time freedom. So I'm just going to go back to what I'm doing in January. I want to hear what you're doing in January. I overindulged at one Christmas party. And when I say overindulge, I'm just going to admit it. It's one of those when you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to drink again.
Oh
uh,
yeah.
oh yeah, it was, I had a grand old time. I was doing karaoke. Baby got back, Sir Mix-a-Lot. I'm pretty sure I killed it. And went to
No, there is nobody that kills that song.
oh, I kind of feel like I killed it. I had backup
That song was
dancers.
made to be not killed.
I had backup dancers. I had a lot of fun. I killed it by having fun. And it would have been fine until I added in multiple limoncello shots mixed in with the rosé that I thought was a grand idea. Having conversations about the podcast. I've got a guest who wants to be on the, he will be on the podcast. Went to leave and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even walk straight. And then the next thing I know, it's like garbage can in the bathroom. And this was a big, and even in that state, my son was coming. Like, Mom, are you okay? Ben's kids were like rubbing my back. And I'm like, this is not what I want these children to see. Right. Like this is, and I know that's not a typical MO for me, but I was like, I didn't feel, I thank God I threw up because that's probably why I was functional the next day, but not great. And I just said, I'm going to take a break from alcohol to my birthday, right? It's not even the full month. And who knows, maybe I will, or I won't have a glass of wine on my birthday, but it has felt so good. Just being free from putting toxins in my body because it is a toxin.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of a reset. I did dry January last year, and then I
Yeah.
stopped drinking in end of May for a few months, for as part of my health protocol.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great, and it really it puts a new perspective on drinking. And I decided I would keep drinking because I really enjoy wine and whiskey in
Yeah.
particular. But it's once or twice a week now, and
Yeah.
my relationship with alcohol was, I've talked about it many times. It's way better now. It's so much healthier.
Yeah.
Um, and I actually love the new government guidelines on that. Dr. Oz was at the press conference talking about it, just saying, look, I don't recommend that you drink,
Yeah.
but don't have it for breakfast.
Right.
And there's actually, there was no data supporting it's not healthy to have a few drinks.
Yeah.
So, yes, after too much, it really is not good for you, as you say, it's a toxin. But
Mm-hmm.
when I'm working with clients, it's really not something that I'll try and go cold turkey on.
Yeah.
Is that going to make my job a little harder? Yes. But at the same time, if that provides someone stress relief to have a few drinks with friends,
Mm-hmm.
then so be it.
It's
But
really
I love the,
lifestyle, right? Like it's lifestyle and habit.
yeah.
Like I was making dinner last night, and when I'm cooking for my family, specifically something Italian, I'm like, ooh, kind of wish I had a little glass of wine, right? I grew up like that. We grew up with little wine glasses at the table, but we drank like homemade wine, Italian wine. I
Yeah.
also think what you're consuming, if you get an imported wine that doesn't have all the crap additives that a lot of them do, I think there's a consciousness. Everything's about a consciousness, a purposefulness. If I'm
I'm so
choosing,
glad you brought that up,
yeah,
because I only drink wine now that I know the producer has not used glyphosate or any pesticides. And there's a few in California that were actually ahead of the curve on that and stopped doing that. My favorite right now is Chapelet.
mm,
And then yeah, all the imported European wines, they also now they may still use pesticides. They don't use the same ones that we use over here, so it's not as bad.
hmm,
But they actually test for mold in the
yes,
grapes, which I think is great. So I also drink a lot of French wine for that reason too, but Italian's great. But yeah, I'm excited for you to report back in the next few weeks. The first couple of weeks were always the easiest, and then you're like, oh come on, I've done enough.
yeah.
I want a glass of wine when I'm cooking or something.
Well, that's why I said I'll go up to my birthday. And on my birthday should be completed my training for transcendental meditation. We're doing a 5K. If you guys want to join us, it's called Cupid's Chase in Princeton on
Uh,
Valentine's Day.
I don't know if you heard the news, but I retired from running about 13 months ago.
Is a 5K really, to me, it's running, but like to someone who did a marathon, that's like Ben does a 5K daily practically. Like that's just I'm going to go out for a little jog, you know?
That's 5K is nothing for someone who hasn't retired from running, but I have officially
You're
retired from running.
retired. Okay. Well, we're committed to doing that. So I like to set a goal for myself that has a date, like a definite, I can't move the deadline, right? I need that because otherwise I'll give myself too much grace normally, like, oh, okay, I'm almost there. So that was purposeful. So I'm doing my Peloton tread the same 5K program I do every single time. So I have a run today. And again, my goal is to not go and win the race. My goal is always with a 5K just to start off and never walk until I reach the finish line. Do I actually hit a full on run? I don't know. I'm not judging it. It's a run for me. So then I'm also doing grief practitioner training. So I'm getting certified in that. I never wanted to take on suicide as a stage topic for myself or really kind of go down that path. But I know that, like, I coached a client who lost her husband recently, and I put together a program that just intuitively made sense to me. And she made huge strides. It was huge for her. And it was between, goal setting, just very next steps, identity work, like you're a wife and you have a role for 50 years. All of a sudden the person that did the finances, that did this, they're gone. So there's a lot of work with that. And nervous system regulation, which surprisingly she was a little like, this was not surprising, like kind of like, well, I'll do it because you're telling me to. And I think that was one of the biggest impacts in it. So I was like, all right, there's a grief, because there's all stages that we go through, and there's not really an end point. Like I've kind of learned like that grief doesn't really end. It kind of just transforms. And so
Yeah,
much,
totally.
yeah, so much beautiful can come out. So I want to be able to be more purposeful in how I support people that are in whatever stage they're in. And again, it's not therapy and it's
Yeah.
along with therapy. But for me, therapy wasn't where I wanted to go. And maybe I will some point down the road, but for me, coaching and the tools I have with coaching are what really kind of powered me through my initial
Yeah.
kind of grieving period. And then this, anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But
No,
that's,
I love that because number one, I think there is a temptation when you go through something traumatic to like just focus on that as something I went through, so I'm going to help other people. Whereas grief, everybody experience. We had the miscarriage last year, and the baby was actually due, I think, this weekend coming up. So it was a bit of
oh,
a raw is not the right word, a bit of a tender time.
yes.
But that's grief, right?
Yeah.
And dealing with that, I'd love to have had someone who was ready to coach me through that.
Yeah.
So maybe we can work on that together. But I think that's great for you. And then you know it doesn't just stop there. Once you recover from grief, you have tools that can help people grow even more. So I
Yes.
think that's really cool. I was really happy when I saw that.
Yeah.
I was also waiting for the you're gonna do the transcendental meditation with me, right?
I trust me. I didn't want to put it on you though, but you can still do it with me. I'm doing the one in Princeton, and that's something that you and I have always talked about doing. And I think you're even farther down the meditation path than I am in some ways. I think you're more purposeful about your practice. Um, this is all going to lead to you and I doing our retreat on the beach here at Jersey Shore at some point, which is going to lead to something more down the future. I know this is happening. Um, and it's not just going to be you and I, there's going to be other practitioners in it, but like
Yeah.
there's big things coming. And there always has been, but I think that 2026 is going to see a significant step for us in things that we've been talking about the past 24 months.
Yeah, and that's something I'm really being intentional with right now. I've always, I know you're the same too. Things don't happen fast enough, and I'm
Mm,
always, really. But being in this role I'm in for Heat Timer, it's actually been really nice because I've been forced to, slow down, buddy. Like we're gonna really take our time. We're not gonna throw you to the fire that much, and
mm,
we've got a long term goal here. We know everything's gonna, and that's been really good for me because it's for all of my, uh, you know, the way that I am, and
mm,
it's been good for me to realize that you know what, it's okay to think about the long term and going back to reflecting on the year and think about how much shit happened.
mm,
If you had asked me a year ago, what's
mm,
gonna happen? Like, what do you think what's gonna happen in the next 12 months?
mm,
I hadn't even signed up for FDN at that point. I
yeah.
just finished my Dr. Amen thing. It's funny. I was getting all the notifications that my human potential domain was up for renewal, so I just cancelled it. I had a whole different business,
Yeah.
and then I started Alpha Health after FDN.
Hmm.
So much stuff happens in a year, and I think you talking about the retreat and the work that we're gonna or have been doing is gonna happen. There's just, and I think so many people get off the merry-go-round before it really kicks into gear.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm being really intentional about this year. Of just don't lose focus on what the long-term goal is here.
Hmm. You said a important word, reflecting. And again, the new year is a natural time to do this, but really encouraging both ourselves, and we're doing this, and our listeners to look back and reflect over like what was amazing in 2025. What are you taking with you into 2026? What's run its course in 2025 that no longer needs to be along for the ride with you? And I intentionally use the term run its course because I think people can look at it from a loss perspective, like, well, what am I leaving behind? There's like a loss to that, or something that was unfinished. I don't use that perspective. It may have not gone where I thought it was going to go, but it did run its course. So it's not that it's unfinished or it's abandoned. It's just that was the completion of that. That's how it looked completed. And if something is not completed and I know there's more, then yeah, it's coming along with me for this journey in 2026. And if it gets space in my brain and my life, then I know that I must be intentional about it. So that means I have to have goals set around it. It means I have to have it on my calendar. It means I have to be speaking about it to the people that are going to help me, live an accountable life. It's ultimately my responsibility, but when I've got commitments with others and others know what my intentions are, that's a driver for me. So reflecting important. What are you going to do more of in 2026? What are you going to do less of in 2026? What no longer deserves your time, energy, and attention? Maybe that's an activity. Maybe that's a person. Maybe that's a group. Maybe that's your job. Maybe that's your partner. Hopefully, most of us are bringing our partners into 2026. And how are you being intentional about all of those things? And if it's not on your calendar, or you can't sit and say, this is what I do on a regular basis in this category, in this category, in this category, I know that you're probably headed for some pain in that area if you can't tell me
Yeah,
where
for
you're
sure.
going.
Yeah, exactly. It goes down to what's the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said it before. That great video on it on Instagram of don't worry about how tough the journey is or whether you enjoy the activity that gets you to the outcome. And I think that's the important piece that people need to get from what you were saying about alignment
Mm,
is, you know, it doesn't just have to be the activity or the job or the whatever doesn't have to be necessarily aligned with who you are. I mean, obviously your ethics, your morals and all of that has to come into play, but
yeah,
if it will get you to the outcome, then it is okay to to work your way through it. But it's not okay to work your way through it if the outcome you want is not achieved by that.
right.
And I
And
think
if you
that's a
can
really
keep your,
important distinction.
yes. And if you can go to what your desired emotions are, as long
Yes,
as you have
exactly.
those desired emotions while you're doing what it takes to get to where you're going, you're in alignment. You're all good. If you're selling seashells on the sidewalk, that might not be your life goal, but if it provides what you need so that when your head hits the pillow at night, you feel good about where you spent your time, the people that you're around, your ability to function and take care of yourself, then it's a win.
Yeah, exactly. And
Um,
the work I'm in now, selling boiler controls.
mhm,
The boiler control part of it. I mean, it is interesting, the all the logic behind it and stuff. But I've loved, I've gone on some installs and I'll go and put sensors in people's apartments, and hearing them say, "Oh, this is going to help with the heat," and
mm,
seeing the look on their faces when they realize, "Oh, I've got a solution to my problem now," and the
mm,
super who's no longer going to be getting the calls he gets all the time, so the stress reduction there, and the property managers and etc., the owners, like that's a desired emotion. I love the feeling of doing, contributing to something that is making someone's life more positive.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, the vehicle doesn't always matter. And I think that's been a huge lesson for the both of us this year or the past year. You know, it's okay to change vehicles as long as you
Yes.
get to where you want to get to.
Yes. And I wrote this yesterday and you just reiterated it. True success in life has a long lasting ripple effect.
Yeah.
So if I look at something, if I accomplish something, but it ends there, I have success, but there's no ripple effect. That actually doesn't equate to success for me. Like everything that I do, like you going and putting that sensor in, right? There's a ripple effect. You just mentioned 3 or 4 of them. And that's like, if we could be looking at what we're doing in this world, is it creating something beyond us, even in the smallest way? And I mean, this goes to, how do you treat the cashier at the grocery store? Everything that you're doing, or 90% of the things that you're doing, should be putting positive in this world beyond just, a one-stop end, completed task. It ends there. Like we should, I'm saying too much should. I'm looking at, what does this do beyond me?
Yeah.
And one more thing, things are hard. Accomplishing amazing things is hard. We do things that we don't feel like doing. We do them anyway, as long as they're aligned with us. And I don't know where this notion came that people think that things are supposed to be easy, or that we're supposed to like everything that we do to get to where we want to go. Like, that's just a bullshit fallacy. I don't even know where it came from. But if you're thinking that way and going, why is this hard? Or I don't like doing this, like, you're either doing the wrong thing or you have the wrong mindset. It's one
Yeah.
or the other.
Yeah, and that kind of leads to something I'm really focusing on this year too, of just not get, and kind of speaks to the point I was making about the, you know, focusing on the long term vision of, you know, not seeking that instant gratification.
Mhm.
And I've really experienced this growing my health practice because, you know, I was much more active on social, and I admit I've let that slide. I kind of just fell back onto letting clips of the podcast be the stuff I put out there, and I'll probably keep doing that, but you know, you don't get tons of views or tons of likes, and you're sitting there thinking, "Oh, what's the point in all of this?" But the amount of people I get who will say, "Oh, I've been seeing the stuff you've been posting about the gut and the brain. That's really cool. You know, keep. You know, I'd love to hear more about it." And even with the podcast, you know, you look at I see all the numbers for, you know, across all the channels and stuff, and the amount of people that will say, "Oh, I love the podcast," and things of that nature, and you start doing the math in your head. I'm like, this doesn't add up. Like, there's more people saying stuff, you know, on top of the people I know that are listening, etc. So you can have a huge impact without getting that instant gratification,
Yeah.
and that's something I'm really making sure I keep having to reframe and get away from, because we've been society's just been created around getting that instant, oh, that was awesome, I love that, I love you, blah blah blah. But you know, oh, look how many views you get, and look how many listeners and downloads. That shit doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yep.
And it shouldn't be what you use to determine how successful you are in achieving your goal.
No, or if you should continue forward. If you believe in what you're
Yeah,
doing, and that's the story of every person that's gotten great success. That is
yeah,
every single person's story. It's like, you see them where they're at now, but you don't see what things look like for them 5 years ago or 3 years ago. Right?
yeah,
So it's, if you know that what you're doing, even if you're not 100% sure, but you feel drawn or driven or compelled
yeah,
to speak on something, to do something, to bring something into this world, like, honor that, because your people will show up, but you have to do it, and you have to do it consistently, especially in this day and age, because we are so bombarded with so much information, with so much media. It's easy to get lost in where you think, well, I already talked about this. Talk about it 100 times. People aren't gonna be like, oh, they already talked about this, except for that one person that commented on us saying, you guys always talk about space. We know about space. Stop talking about space.
oh, that guy, yeah,
um, you can't talk about your passion too much. Because the people that aren't interested, they're going to tune you out anyway, whether you say it 2 times or 100 times.
Yeah.
The people that are interested, they're hungry for it. And the way you say it today is going to be different than the way you say it tomorrow. Maybe that resonates with them differently, or that impacts them differently, or they just had a certain experience, and when they hear your message, it's when they needed to hear it. But you've got to be putting it out there.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do? How do you want to feel in 2026? What are the things you want to accomplish this month?
Yeah.
Like,
And take action on it.
yeah.
So I think I said in the last episode, my big thing this year is stop giving a fuck about what people think, and don't let that be something that holds you back. And the instant gratification and all of that plays into it. So Heat Summer, who I work for, we got bought by a huge publicly traded company, 4 billion revenue, huge company. And all their execs came into town yesterday, and we had a big meet and greet. They spoke and had a bit of lunch afterwards. And I don't do well in those environments, like
Mm.
big rooms where you have to approach people. I'm not good with that. Put me in a room with a few people or one on one. I can hold the room. I can hold court. Be very, very, chatty and whatnot. But it's that going up to people that I get that social anxiety around. But I just said fuck it. And as soon as the CEO was done talking, I jumped out of my seat, went up to him, shook his hand. He mentioned he was a Giants fan, so that that was an easy in there. Made sure I
Yeah.
went to every single one of the executives. Ended up, and you start to realize there's this idea of, I either heard it or read it about the invisible guest. You heard about this?
No.
Where we all go to these social things worrying about what other people think, but they're too worrying about what other people think
Mm.
too, and they don't even notice you.
Yeah.
So you're worrying about, oh, did I say something stupid? They don't remember. They were too worried about if they said something stupid.
Yeah.
So I held that with me, and I was quite pleased with how I went about it. I just made sure I spoke to all of them.
So
And
guess what? You never get to say that I'm bad in large social settings again.
yeah, exactly. I can say I don't enjoy it, but
Because you started that story by saying I don't do well. And I just heard that you did well. So that's done.
historically I don't do well. I should
Okay.
have. No, you're right. And honestly, in the back of my mind, I had the fact that I said it on camera
Mm-hmm.
that was going to be what I focus on next year, and and maybe that's something people need to do. And that's what I loved about what you did of just like, hey, this is a list of all the shit I'm doing this month,
Yeah.
and I need to be
Yes.
held accountable by everybody who sees this.
Speak it. You have to speak it. You have to. Evil thrives in darkness.
Hmm.
Evil, and if we're not going so deep, lack of commitment, um, unrealized expectations, unrealized potential, that all thrives in darkness. Right? So if you keep it private, if you keep it just to yourself, if you don't shine the light on it, if you don't let it come out of your mouth, like that's a little shriveled up something that could have been beautiful.
Yep.
You have to speak it. You have to shine light on it. You have to water it. You have to let others water it for you. And if someone's trying to put it in darkness again, oh, you shouldn't do that. Guess what? Get the fuck away from that person.
Yep.
We have to step into the scary spaces. That is the only way we're going to grow. I feel the passion coming up in me, and this is why I know that I am meant to end as much suffering as I can in this world and come along people that are struggling, because struggle is a gift. Struggle, that scary place, that stepping into, oh, am I really going to say this out loud? Am I really committed to this? Because we don't believe in ourselves, because we have imposter syndrome, because we know we've talked about doing it before and we've failed before. But if you're
Yeah.
speaking something that you've wanted to do before and never did, you've never failed at it, because you're still saying, I want to do this. So be bold, be courageous, be brave. Do it for yourself, do it for the people that you're going to inspire. And if you really believe in something, you have to be willing to speak to it. Otherwise, it was just a nice thought that you had.
Yeah. Those thoughts are going to die with you. And they ain't going to help anybody.
And that's selfish. And you're not a selfish person. So start getting to it.
I think that might be the podcast title. Get to it.
Get to it. And you know what? I'm gonna roll my intensity back for a second. I like to use social media for a little self-accountability. If that seems too outrageous, too much for you, you don't have to do that. You can just find a person that you trust and say, hey, here's what I'm committed to. And if there's a way they can help you, and then ask them for it. You know what would really help me is if I could call you on Fridays and let you know what I did on this. Or maybe you say, I don't need you to follow up with me on it, but I want to let you know. And when I'm done, I'm going to let you know about it. You don't have to be completely out there, but find a way. And if you're too terrified to tell it to someone else, write it down. Write it down and keep it somewhere visible and revisit it for yourself. And if you want the best accountability partner, attach your completion of the goal to a reward for your child and let your child know what that reward is. That's really exciting to them and what you're committed to and when you're going to have it done by. And then you will find no better accountability partner.
Yeah, you'll miss out doing that one time and seeing that look on your kid's face. You will never not be held accountable again.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited for this year. We are going to be more intentional, you and I, even though we keep saying that, but more guests. So please complete our guest form application. And I think we'll be doing something in person this year with
no, we will be.
To join us.
We will be.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that correction. We will be.
Yeah, because doing things in person and being in the room with other people on the same journey as you at different points of the journey, nothing more inspiring, because if you're ahead in the journey, you get to reach back and help someone else, which is so fulfilling and so powerful. And then on the other end of it, you get the wisdom of people who have been stuck where you're stuck and had to change things and whatnot. So yeah, really looking forward to that. We should start planning that.
Yes, we should.
We will
start planning it. You know what you also get? Because Fred keeps popping into my mind. Because when I texted Fred when I had made the decision to shift, and Fred had spoken on a panel that I was involved in. I was like, hey buddy, some big shift happening. Give me a call when you can. He's like, I'm free now. He called and he's like, wait, sis, can I tell you what I think it is before you say anything? And I was like, yeah, go for it. And he just blurted it out. And I was like, exactly. He's like, I've been waiting. He's like, my heart just skipped a beat when I saw your text message because I've been waiting for this call because that wasn't you, man. Like, that wasn't your space. And he saw it, right? Like, he saw something firsthand. He let me do my thing, but he knew it. And then I let one other person know that really doesn't know me from a hole in the ground. They knew me from that day and from socials, and we had reached out to connect, and she was like, when I said what happened, she was like, I totally felt that for you. I'm like, wow. Okay, because I was like so in it. Here's people that I know, here's people that I don't know that are like seeing this. So that's the other beauty about being in these settings that you and I will create this year. Someone doesn't even have to know you deeply, but leaning on the belief of what others see in you, or seeing that perspective that like you kind of know that's the answer, but hearing that spoken to you is like, oh wow, okay, that's all the validation that I need. So that's another powerful benefit.
Right, we should wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
We're gonna get going.
Yes. Happy 2026 to you, buddy, to our listeners. We promise to bring you even more value this year. So thank you for listening and
watching.
And let's build amazing things together. Until next time, friends. Bye for now.